Alrighty, first off, we're going to start off with bringing in the parts and showing what we're working with. First off, we've got the bottom plate for the baby. It's fairly thick, so I don't think you really need to worry about breaking anything. It's going to be really nice. We've got some recessed holes for the actual motors, which will hide those screws and actually protect you from losing those, so you won't have to worry about motor runoffs. Next up is the top plate. Also very nice, and it's very standard in all of his little quad builds, the design. And then after that, we bring in the motor mounts for the bottom side. These are very interesting, and you'll see this later as the build moves on. You'll see how they work and how they perfect your drone from falling apart in flight. Next up, bring in, these are the mounts for your landing gear. Make sure you put these on before you put anything else on that bottom plate, or else you will not be able to use them. Then you have your DJI antenna mounts, which also second off as, oh my god, I'm having a brain fart, as standoffs. After that, next we bring in your camera mount, which will actually stick through standoffs later on, which I already did one and it's kind of stuck in there. Very tight with the Shendrons 3D printing. And then I also opted in for the adjustable GoPro 7 camera mount because that's what I use. So enough about the frame, let's move on to the electronics. So, as most of you might have seen in the Facebook post, the motors I will be using are these beauties. So, they are 1507 SmoothX motors from RC and Power. They are 3800, which I ordered by mistake, but we're gonna make it work. So we've got 8 of these. So yeah, let's get this on the road. Next up, obviously we'll be running the DJI air unit because this thing can hold a full-size air unit in there with stock antennas. Standard stuff. After that, we are going to bring in the F55s from T-Motor or Tiger Motor, however you want to say it. These are 6S capable. They are 20/20 stack, which is absolutely insane to think. They are going to be amazing. I'm not going to have to worry about these things breaking down at all. Just the quality of the build is beautiful. Obviously they come with these guys, which will get cut up and soldered to the board. Next up is the SP Racing H7 mini board. I chose this board just for the fact that it comes with an H7 chip, which is kind of the newer chipset. But then also the fact is that you can run 8 motors on this one with nothing to worry. Also, if you do get this board, just notice that there are 2 versions, one that comes with plugs, so you don't have to worry about too much soldering. But I got the one without the plugs just to save weight. So you, just heads up, you will have to solder on this little diode. That's all. Okay? So enough about the parts. Let's get this on the road. First thing we're going to start with is we're going to put the landing gear on the bottom of the frame. So we've got a landing gear, we've got a frame. Then we also have to grab some nuts that come with the kit. And then also the 4 screws. And yes, these are a 2.0, I believe, on the sides of the driver, which I will be using this beautiful little guy. It makes my life so much easier since I started using an electric screwdriver. Call it lazy electric, whatever you want to call it, but do it. If you can get one, I suggest it. So let's just do a little test fit. Good. Put that in there. And what's great about this guy is like it's literally just turn the way you want to go. Tighten, give it a tiny twist, loosen, turn the other way. Also has LEDs. Okay, so I've already got the right hex on there for the driver. So let's pop in the screws, Make sure you put them in the middle set here if you're using a 20 by 20. I'm gonna put both in, and yes, I'm gonna put these on the bottom, and you'll understand why later. So from there, hopefully they just slide on and not too stiff. Of course, they're too stiff, as I kind of expected. So what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna tighten this up with a screwdriver. Landing gear is done. Alrighty. So next up, we are going to put the first round of motors on the top. So we're gonna grab 2 of each, and we're gonna set it up. So this right here will be the front. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an orange guy on the right, black guy on the left, and then another orange guy across, and then one more down here. Okay. So let's get to work. There's all the 4 motors. Next step, we'll bring in the bottom motors. Alrighty, so next up is going to be the motor mounts for the last 4 motors. So now, most importantly about this is that you need to make sure you're looking at your screw holes already, so how you have them done, because when you put the plates on, these button head screws, or whatever you want to call them, I don't think that's right, but whatever, they sit in there, like so. Come on. They will sit in there, like so. You can kind of see how it's flush now. So when you do this, put your plate on there just to get a reference check, and you'll know that you're screwing it into the bottom holes. So okay, got it? Let's do it. Keep that in for reference. So here comes the first one. Okay, y'all get the point. They're gonna sit there, and that's gonna sit there. In the next part of the video, we will be putting those bolts in to hold the motors actually in place, and then that will be the construction of the main point of the quad. All right, for the next step, I got Loctite up in here because I didn't Loctite any of the motors on the bottom plates or for the actual frame. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to be Loctiting the screws that'll be used for the actual plates. So I think what they recommend is that the bolts go on the bottom, but for me, I'm going to put the screw on the bottom. So let's do a motor real quickly together, and I'm gonna jump into the rest of it all on my own, just because it's faster. Okay, so let the difficulties begin. It was easier when I did it without the lights on. That's why I did it without the lights on the first time I built it. But we got other pieces we can use to help raise that motor into place. Like so, it's better than nothing. Then we're gonna give the little dab a Loctite on there. Sorry if it's blurry, I don't care. Because the finished product is what I think everyone actually cares about. So, we've got one in there. Let's get a bolt on there real quickly. Hopefully. I said hopefully, because it never works at the first time. Good. So then we get the driver, get it on, and let's move on forward. I'll show you guys both of them, and then I will jump over the rest of them on a high-speed chase. Okay, same thing as the first one. Put it in. Put it on. Yeah, these bolts are so small, it's annoying. So yeah, same thing. And tighten it up. Like, that's how good this thing is. Like, okay, we got our one set of motors done. Just listen to this. These are torquey. Okay, so now I'm gonna focus on me, and I'm just gonna put the rest together. So there. They're all finished. Alrighty. So the next step is going to be putting our light stack into play. So for next step, hold that to the side. We'll bring out these. Okay. So we're gonna do plastic screws on there. Make a little swap of for parts. For bits, I mean, sorry. So we are gonna start using you. And then we're gonna bring you. Remember, it doesn't really matter what way is the front, because no matter what, the top right is always gonna be orange. So let's do the next step. Let's get these wires out of my way, because that's annoying to deal with. So, okay, so all the wires are out of the way. We've got 4 nylon screws, and then we've got 4 more nylon nuts that we're going to use. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to stick the nylon nut through the bottom. Okay, so from here we can start the fun part of the build. We're going to grab our first ESC. Remember this, just to keep things simple for yourself, bottom ESC will be for the bottom, can anyone tell me? Bottom motors. Beautiful. So yeah, but before we can solder the motors on, we have to have fun with just aligning up the 2 boards, because first, what I'm going to do first off is I gotta put wires through here. Somehow I need. So I'm gonna start by grabbing my solder. I've got my soldering iron all ready to go. So I'm just gonna get a nice piece of solder, probably way too long, but that's okay because I'll use it for whatever else I need to use solder piece, firing back. And next step is to just start feeding it into my ESC. Pre-tin you up. This is what I mean by blue tack. Get that out of the way. I like to stretch out a little bit. Just kind of have it ready to stick to my desk. Of course, I'm not the first person in the world. Okay, so from here, going to press it down and on. After you do this, just make sure you clean up really good, because this is what happens. So I don't know what way to solder this, because they pre-install these BECs on there, which makes it difficult for me to do what I need to do. So now, here's why it gets difficult. It's going to be difficult because this is how it's going to have to work. You have to go through it. I could probably get rid of a BEC and not even. But what I really want to do is I kind of want to keep them on there just because. But actually, I'm thinking. I do have an idea of what I want to do. But I think just to solder it up how I want, I'm going to push this as far forward as I can. And then we will solder it how I want. So this is where it's going to be difficult. I'm going to do this off camera because it might take too long and my battery is getting low. Alright, so as you can see, I've already done it on camera as I soldered on my wires to both ESCs just with one cable. So basically what I did is I soldered onto the bottom first, and I cut a little notch a little higher up and soldered it through. So this way that we wouldn't have to worry about any shorting from around the wire, because it's only a little bit of exposed, and what is exposed is soldered to the top board. So now what's up next is I've put my wires on here just to show you. I've zip tied these because honestly all this wire is very confusing to deal with. What I recommend you do when you're building your own is I suggest soldering up your back wires before your front, because these are going to be significantly shorter and they will be out of the way. But for the sake of this video, I will be doing the front ones first. So first off, with these back wires, like with any ESC, it doesn't matter what you solder them like, as long as they're on there and soldered. So we are going to start with this one going to the, we're going to start with this one going to the inside. I'm going to wrap it around the inside of the ESC first. Actually, before I do any of that, what I keep on forgetting to do is first I'm going to mount on the antenna mounts. So we've made progress. Now we can do this. Which actually, I might not even go through the bottom of the ESC just because it's a hassle. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that through like this and like that, because that will do what I want to do. Make sure they're flat, because so basically what's going to happen here is I'm going to switch my order. I finally got all the motors done up, so it's honestly a lot of wire. I have zip tied them all down first, and if you look right there, you can kind of see how let me see, I got the right lighting. There we go. You can see that I wrapped the bottoms around the tops to keep them in place. So yeah, next step, which is going to take a little bit more work, is now we're going to wire ECs 1 and 2 to the board. So basically these are called, these connections will be over here, whereas these connections connections will be over here, like so. I'm gonna try and route these wires through and under. So yeah, let's get into it. So for the case, what we're doing, I've actually now taken the board off. So that with the board now, what I'm gonna do is we gotta find the air, which is right there very tinily. It's gonna point forward. I'm gonna place it there for now. And I'm going to fold up all of these wires because now I want to measure to see how long everything will be. But next up, so I just want to write down on a piece of paper really quickly the motor order. Can I have a pen, please? Okay. So, really quickly, I have it pulled up so I can see it. So it'll be negative 1, 2, 3, 4, and then positive. And the current is over here. Okay. So that's that. So now, and I'm also going to draw out the ESC header with each wire. Oh yeah, because I need to have this done properly. So facing like this, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 8. 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so over here we've got T, C, 4, 3, 2, 1. Positive and negative. Okay. So this will make things easy. It's actually going to be a direct solder. So next up, we're going to pull you down to the bottom of the whole thing. Then we're going to pull you over here. A little bit of slack. And then we're going to do the same thing, and then we're going to cut it. Beautiful. That's ESC1 soldered up. Just beautiful. So let's pick it up and I'll show you. That's it. It's really nice. I'll probably end up giving it a little twist. Hopefully that will work. I don't feel like it will. But yeah, regardless of that point, the wires are going to be tucked away anyways. So, let me do a little research and I'll be back to you. Alrighty, from here on out, this blue wire will be taken out because it will not be used. So, let's go ahead and do that. We will not need that, so it's okay. So, take it off the tag, inspect it, make sure there's nothing blue on there. We're good, nothing blue. So, get rid of the tack because now we are going to officially just keep it on there. So, to, I'm gonna do the unthinkable. And we're gonna just power it up. Okay, let's clear everything away. Okay, so we're gonna use a small 3S pack and just quickly say hello to this beast. That's what we want to hear. I think it's come to the point where we're going to test the motors. Yes, it is. Tune in. Alrighty, I'm going to pull up Beta Play real quickly. We are going to plug her in. Then we're going to plug you in. She barely fits in there. But yeah, we should be okay. Connect. Let's calibrate. Good. Okay. Configuration. It is a X. It's not an Octo X. It's a... Where is the one we want? Is it a dual copter? No. There we go. Okay, so motor 4 is going to turn clockwise. So let's write this down so I can show you what it is. Okay, so it'll be like this. Motor 4 will be going this way. 8 will be going this way. And then it'll be 3 will be going this way. 7 will be going this way. 2 will be going this way. 6 will be going this way. And then we have 1 going this way. And 5 going the opposites. Okay. So from there, we're just going to save it and reboot it so that the system knows what it's dealing with. And then from there, I'll be powering on the quad and testing out the motors. This is a big step. So let's go over to motors. Let's plug this in. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell if the ECs are actually working. But yes, I know. Okay, so let's start with motor 4. So motor 4 is going the wrong way, so we need to fix 4. Okay, shut her down. Let's go over to 8. So we have a problem here. 8 is not that motor. But whatever. Let's just do this real quickly. You're good. You're good. You're wrong. You're wrong. Something's burning up. Alrighty, so next up, we're going to worry about the receiver we're using. And we're going to be using the Crossfire Nano. My favorite receiver. I know everyone's going to be like, why wouldn't you use a DJI? So, well, it's simple as this. I don't have a DJI receiver. Or, sorry, transmitter. So, yeah. This is the little beauty. Pain in the butt sometimes, but for the most time, it's beautiful. So, first things first, let's get to soldering. I've already got a pre-tinned, so that we can do this. All right, let's go. But first things first, we need to solder all the wires freshly. Okay, good. Off. You can see on both sides it's gone through. Beautiful. I'm gonna go ahead and solder that off camera because I need to see the pinout diagrams because I don't want to mess this up. So, back in a second. Alrighty, so I'm back from soldering everything up. As you can see, it is just a colossal mess in there. Which, I mean, yeah. So I got my Crossfire hooked up. I got the cable for SSI as well. And I also started to put this into play because honestly, it is very tricky to do on camera. So I kind of went off the fact because I'll show you with this guy here. There's little notches that he's got cut out for you to hold the GoPro in place. Sorry, to hold the air unit in place. It also has it on the bottom of the antenna mounts if you're using this one. Unless you have the small baby, not really sure how you say it. But that's beside the point. So it basically keeps it elevated as you can kind of see here. Right? Okay. So I took, this was the last standoff that has to go in, and the two standoffs at the back. I'm going to show you guys how to do this one. And that's going to basically be the end of the build. I've tested my motors off camera. They're all spinning in the right directions. Beside the short problem I had, nothing burnt up, so we're still good to fly. So let's press this guy in there. It's very tricky. Ooh, it's so tight. So once it's in there, you can see that it will probably be difficult, but it sits right in like a glove because I got the first one in, which I did off camera because it was tricky. So let's put it together. So I've got my screw, got my standoff in there. Let's put it in. My driver. And so yeah, that's basically the important part of this build. I'm gonna go ahead, finish it up, and I'll come right back to you when it's complete. Alrighty guys, the time you've been waiting for. It is finally complete. With no further ado, here we go. This is the beauty. Yes, you guys are still gonna get the top view, sorry. But whatever. This is the completed Shendrons baby with the adjustable GoPro mount. So I'll do a little spin around for y'all like this. So this is the complete with those 8 beautiful motors that have gone with a crisscross pattern for no special reason that it looks nice. Yes, I stuck with the 2 BACs just because better protection, but I mean, if it causes me a problem, I will reduce one of them. So yeah, everything turned out nicely. It is a little too snug. I'm having one little problem with this one screw here that just wants to not screw in. It keeps on popping out. It kept on doing that even before. So I'll probably have to end up maybe drilling it out a little bit. But without further ado, let's go do a test flight. Props, we'll see. Thanks for watching and enjoy the last ending clip. Alrighty, time for the maiden. Well, that's sick. Yep. Yep. I'll control the right. Take off. Holy yeah. It flies. And that's it for the maiden flight.